Support for Butter City is provided by
Today we're talking about film festival.
That adds color to the story.
Roll sound. Cameras rolling.
Welcome to this episode of Butter City, a show all about filmmaking with a little bit of a Minnesota twist. And today we have local documentary filmmaker Nick Clausen. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You know, you've been working in the industry in the journalism industry and doing other videos for over 20 years.
Yeah.
But you originally got your start in the industry, in filmmaking at Central High School. Is that correct?
Yeah, Central High School is where I went, and they had a TV program, and we used to do a Friday video show that we put on in the cafeteria, and we would just do like skits of like running around the halls and things like that. It wasn't really any meaningful great stuff, but I kind of credit St. Paul Central for getting my start. I knew when I went to school there, I knew when I graduated and going to college that I wanted to do something in the TV industry or TV production area.
What was it that hooked you? I mean, why did you keep coming back to it?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it was it was just a way to be creative with the medium of using a camera and telling a story. And back then everything was just, it was difficult to do, and maybe it was a challenge, and I liked having the challenge, shooting on these little cameras and editing deck to deck and things like that. I don't know, I must have just, and it was fun to do with your friends and do skits and things like that, so.
Now you are also a cinematographer. I mean, you're also very capable of handling a camera. What do you find it, and you're also very capable as a storyteller, I mean, do you find it that those things kind of all developed simultaneously, like as you, in your career, that you were able to be developing as a cinematographer and a storyteller at the same time, or do you feel like you have to give attention to one as one grows?
I think for me it kind of comes in stages where the storytelling kind of came early on in my field when I became a news videographer and worked in various markets. And telling a story, beginning, middle, ending, was very important. Something I learned maybe in college or throughout my profession. And then later on in my career, when I was doing more of trying some new like documentary type work and some art type work, I think that's something that just kind of developed over time. And I think it just, I don't know, it kind of comes in stages, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And you've been making documentaries that really highlight the community around here. Like, for example, like Sidewalk Sonata. Tell me a little bit about that piece and how you ended up focusing on telling that story.
Well, Sidewalk Sonata, I heard an ad on the radio for this Pianos on Parade program. And this was when I was just starting to get involved with more documentary type work. And I needed a documentary to do. And I'm always kind of scouring the newspapers, and I think that's kind of my news background. I'm looking for stories all the time. And I heard this radio ad about the Pianos on Parade program, and it's where they paint pianos. Artists take these pianos and they paint them, and then they put them on street corners for people to play. And I thought, boy, this would be a really interesting story just to kind of tell it from beginning to end and see if we get any of the spontaneous playing on street corners. So I I called them up and said, hey, any chance you have an artist I can hang out with? And they said, yeah, we got the perfect guy for you. So I went and filmed the project.
Awesome. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah.
There she is. This is my Howard from Cincinnati, Ohio. My name's Jesse Golfus. I'm a painter at heart, and I dabble in just about every other art form I possibly can.
I'm Newell Hill, and I'm the executive director of Keys for Kids. Keys for Kids is a volunteer-run organization. 100% of the profits from the sales of the pianos go to support music and arts-based programs. Our mission is to inspire young people to believe in themselves through the arts.
This place that we're in is their back warehouse filled with pianos, all of which are awaiting homes. And the biggest bonus is that they've allowed us to come and paint here. Here we go. It's finished. All of the characters have finally been put on. All of the pieces have been added. And after doing it, it was really interesting. It was definitely it was an evolutionary process.
Nick, watching this and knowing your background in the news media and that there's you've got a day to get in and get out and get these stories, and they're short stories, and there's a real prescribed way that you've got to do that. And then you come and you decide, okay, I'm going to make my own piece. And you've got all the time in the world. There's nobody sitting there telling you what your deadline is. Is that freeing, or is that like a hindrance for you when you go out to do these stories?
Making documentaries is so freeing for me. I love it because I get so much time to tell a story. I can really get in depth with the subject. Working in news, you had like a minute 30 to tell a story. And you'd go there, you're only there for a short amount of time, and you interview the person, and then you leave, and that's it, and you never talk to them again. And with documentaries, you really get the opportunity to get to know your subject well. You can spend as much or as little time with them. And part of that project, I was able to spend multiple days with the artist, with Jesse, to see him as he painted the piano. And then when they put it on the street corner, I was able to hang out there and go back multiple times to see who would show up. And part of the piece, I don't know if we saw it or not, but the keys, over time, so many people played it that the paint would start to wear off the keys. And that progression of time is cool and something that you can capture in a long piece documentary like that.
It also makes me think that when you have a client or you have a company that you're making a piece for, oftentimes they have an idea already about what they want. They don't want to veer from that. Have you had a chance to explore different ways of telling a story? Have you seen yourself really start to get fascinated with different shots or different things that might not have worked, for the clients that you work for, but work in your own independent work? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I do some freelance work as well, and I'm actually, a lot of clients that have seen videos I've done, they kind of like that documentary style. Even though, okay, we want to tell a story about a kayak paddle. It's a product video, but they want to tell a story with that and tell it in a documentary style, because I think there's a lot of videos out there that can be real dry. And taking this approach of telling a story First you need to kind of hook the viewer, get them interested in the piece, tell the story, have a beginning, middle, ending, and kind of a payoff at the end. And I think the viewer appreciates it. People have such a short attention span these days with the internet and YouTube and different videos, and I think it's important to really hook the viewer in, and then try and get to them emotionally. Kind of tell a story and bring an emotion out, and that's what I try and do with my documentaries and other work as well.
And I know you've been working on a documentary called Derailed since 2009, which has to do with the light rail being put down University Avenue and the small businesses. Mm-hmm. And you're from St. Paul, and so this is a chance that you get to explore your own community. With Derailed, are you finding that you're getting to see your own community in a way that you didn't get to see it before, that you're able to ask the questions that you didn't have the chance to ask if you weren't making a film?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's kind of intimidating as a filmmaker to approach a subject and just say, hey, can I film you? And I think my news background, television news, really helped with that, kind of approaching strangers and saying, is it okay if I put you on TV? So I'm getting better with that. The tricky thing is finding a subject and getting kind of that emotional intimacy with them and spending lots of time with them. And that's kind of what I'm working on with my University Avenue project, where I find I'm covering about a handful of businesses and kind of follow them before, during, and after light rail construction to see how they fare during the 4 or 5 year long period of construction.
I want to take a look at a clip from Derailed. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. How do you want it done, my friend? All the way it is. Another perfect hero. Been here 25 years. We are regular customers. They keep coming back and back for more because we're good. When I first heard about the light rail, I was kind of afraid that it's going to hurt business and this and that. And I'm really worried about the construction and the parking.
My question is what would you do? How mad would you be? How would you feed your families? This is serious business, folks.
The reality is that businesses are going to lose 20, 30, 40, 50% of their revenue. I'm married to a lovely woman. I have 3 lovely children. And I want you to think about this at night. Look at my face and remember the fact that every night I lose sleep about how I'm going to raise and feed my family, send them to school, give them the opportunities that they deserve, because a government project is putting my livelihood at risk.
Our motto here is change is inevitable, progress is optional. I think the university needs some change, but I just don't think this is the right way to go about it.
We need more, or people are going to move and businesses are going to fail and jobs are going to disappear. There's an ultimatum here. We do not want to have people move off the avenue. This is a great avenue.
We're going to be closing the store here in another couple of days. The main reason we're moving is because of the construction of the light rail. I know we won't be able to stay in business with the street being torn up for such a long period of time.
My boss lost his American dream. I lost my job and my American dream also.
We told them a long time ago, yes, it would damage a lot, but they don't listen to us. And they just sweep it under the rug, okay? And they keep forward with the project.
The area itself, it looks like a bomb went off and this is Beirut or, you know, Iraq or something. And that deters a lot of people from coming to the area.
Watching this, Nick, and being reminded this is a project you started in 2009, and talking about like the time that you like to take to get to know people that you're filming. Are you noticing a different kind of emotional roller coaster with a piece like this? I mean, if you're there all the time and people start to know you, it's very different than if you just came in, and if they're going through a transformation, do you find that there's an expectation that, like, because they've seen you, they're developing a relationship with you and your camera, that maybe they start to put hopes or ideas into what the story that you are going to tell? Is that, how have you noticed anything like that? Is it just an emotionally different experience to be in relationship with people for a much longer period of time?
Yeah, I think so. I think in some ways it's as difficult for them as it is for me to tell the story, because it's really hard to tell a documentary when, well, first of all, I'm not getting paid to make it. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing it all in my own time and everything. And it's really hard to kind of motivate myself in some ways to tell this story and to keep going back and maintain a relationship with these subjects. But I think after the first few visits that they do kind of get more comfortable with me and understand that I'm not there to exploit them or anything like that. I'm there to tell their story. I'm there to document and to see their challenges as they go through the light rail construction.
What's your, when this is done, what's your hope for this piece? Like, if the best case scenario happened, what would that mean for you?
My hope is to really bring more awareness about light rail construction. It's kind of encompassing a more evolving piece. I've been to Salt Lake City, I've been to Phoenix, Arizona, and they're going through, they already went through what St. Paul is going through. And there's a lot of return to this light rail, mass transit thing, but at the expense of urban central corridors. And my hope by doing this documentary is to tell those stories that aren't heard, that you don't normally hear in the news or on television, and to kind of give a voice to these businesses, so that other people that may be going through this in the future will kind of, say, hey, wait, we need some help during this construction period, which I think a lot of the businesses haven't gotten here.
During, your time on University Avenue, it seems like you've also done this piece with Iny. Was that, because they're along University Avenue, is that something that you just stumbled upon while you were making this piece, or was it something that was a totally separate thing that's just a coincidence that it's happening? Well,
I mean, part of my documentary is there's a lot of kind of hardship and negative stories and things like that, and I don't want to be all doom and gloom about this whole thing. There are some really bright spots along the avenue that are happening, and there's a project called the Irrigate Arts Initiative, and they're putting different art projects along the avenue. And I'm kind of exploring my more art side, I guess you could say. And so I thought I'd apply for a grant for this Irrigate Arts thing, and maybe I could kind of, give back or kind of do something positive for the avenue instead of just, telling the blight of light rail and everything. So I applied for a grant, and I teamed up with the Victoria Theater, which is a vacant theater, and the Iny Asian Dance Group. And I thought it would be great to kind of reflect the culture of the Avenue and utilize the theater as well.
What's cool about this is it's a little bit of a twist too from what it seems like you've been doing, and that you're projecting, and it's like it's live public art. So you're projecting this piece, and then the dancers are performing while this projection is going on. And how did that change the way you thought about, like as a filmmaker, you create this 2D thing, and then now all of a sudden the collaboration is like live. What was that like?
While I was putting together, I was thinking, what am I doing, first of all? Because this was totally out of my realm of what I've done. And there was so much involved. I had to find a projector and rent a projector and find audio and talk the business owner into letting me use their theater and putting up material in the windows. And so there was that whole aspect of am I going to really pull this thing off? And but I also wanted to try something completely different, but also use the medium that I love and use, which is film or digital video. And so combining that with a live street performance was just something that was new, and I thought I'd give it a shot.
And awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's take a look at this piece.
All right.
Nick, this is really, it's an exciting project because it gets at like this public display. It's really interactive. I mean, you have to trust the dancers and create a live collaboration. And when I think about the fact that, you've been in this industry as in the filmmaking industry for a long time, but only in 2009, I mean, so it's only been a few years that you've really started to explore your own vision as an artist. And first I have to say, it's going to be amazing to watch what you do with it, because just watching these different projects, there's a lot there that can clearly take off. What is the difference for you between thinking about filmmaking as a career, as a profession, to starting to see yourself as an artist?
That's a good question. I mean, the main question I had is can you make a profession, a career out of being an artist? And lots of people do that. But that was the big question I had, was how to pursue this artist side and make a career out of it. And one of the things I did, I went to Springboard for the Arts. They have lots of different programs for artists, and I met and sat down with them for an hour one day. And I asked the guy, I can't remember his name, but I said, do you know, am I an artist? I asked him if I was an artist, because this was something new to me. And he said, well, there's there's a guy that used to work here, and when people would come to him, they would say, "Poof, you're an artist." So he said, "Poof, you're an artist." So I guess I was an artist, from that day on. And, thinking about it in the past, I mean, yeah, I guess I was an artist in the way I would craft different stories, even working in news. I mean, there's an art to it. There's an art to working in this medium. So exploring that creative side of mine, I think, the main reason I think I do it is to get something, to kind of fulfill something that I'm trying to get out of, we work our jobs and we try to do the best we can at it, but there's always kind of something that we want to fulfill. And I think telling people stories through documentary work, telling a story about a different culture, something that's not seen every day, and exploring that, I kind of get something out of that.
As you've had 3, maybe 4 years now of exploring yourself as an artist, based on that, what do you think you're going to want to do in the next 5, 10 years? I mean, like, do you see this as like a launching point, like the first glimpse of the type of work that you can see you want to be doing?
Yeah, I think I hope to do more of it. It's tricky balancing a full-time job, freelancing. I have a almost 4-year-old son and a wife, and balancing all that and finding time to do this creative stuff and do documentaries is really a challenge. And just finding time to do that. And if I could have more time to do it, great. If I could get more funding to help work on those projects, great. But it's just a passion, and I see it continuing as long as people are out there that want to have their stories told.
So if because you've done a lot of other work and you do a lot of freelance work, if folks wanted to know more about your work, where would they go to figure that out?
NickClausen.com, and I have a bunch of videos on there if people want to see some of my work. I have creative stuff and editing work and some documentaries and things like that on there.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come down here and talk with us and share some of these great pieces of work. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching this episode of Butter City, all about film with a little bit of a Minnesota twist. You can check us out on the website at www.buttercity.com, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. So we'll see you next time.